The jury has reached a unanimous verdict in the case of Daniel Penny. He's been found not guilty on the charge of criminally negligent homicide. Now, remember what was at stake here. The jury could not agree on manslaughter. They failed to agree twice. The judge gave them another bite at the apple on this lesser charge, negligent. They now say not guilty.
Came on that subway car, the first thing he asked for was food, and he was killed. And the person who killed him was not held responsible.
So I leave the house, I go to the gym, I work out, I come on back, I take a shower, I get dressed, and all of a sudden what you guys saw happens. Mr. Penny has been found not guilty, as I was hoping and praying that he would be found not guilty. However, I want to do this video right here more or less in reaction to the verdict itself. There are other channels out there that have covered this particular situation bit by bit, and they do a much, much better job of doing so. I'm here just simply to react and talk about what happens afterwards, so make sure you guys stick around for the full bit. Now, before we get started, I want to go ahead and talk about this really quick. If you saw the video that I did, basically talking about how it was that this particular situation absolutely stunk, don't worry, I'll link it in the description box for you guys again in case you did not see it. I advise you guys check it out. It's really more just me just giving my thoughts on the Daniel Penny situation altogether. But there is one more thing that we're going to need to be talking about. It's obviously what you guys are seeing right in the B-roll footage. The reaction and the response from BLM or BLM New York. And then, of course, there's also this little bit with this woman here.
Be real, they didn't even try. Once the lesser charge was removed, they came back an hour later and said it was deadlock. Less than an hour and 20 minutes later, they said not guilty. These wonderful white people, I hope they celebrate their Christmas while the Neely family is praying and asking God for comfort. God damn them and goddamn America.
Now, real quick, before I go any further in this, I want you guys to know right now, this right here is just simply me reacting to the verdict itself and the things that have come out since, because obviously we got people out here protesting. We got people out here running their mouth, as you guys can see right here in the B-roll footage. You got BLM at this moment in time threatening riots, threatening all kinds of, they call it action. And once again, it's turning public opinion against them. But we'll get to that a little bit later on in the video. So let us go ahead and get into this. And her nasty attitude and the things that she has said that we'll be talking about. But just know that we'll be getting to all that here in a second. Still, though, before we get to that, I need to talk about exactly what happened here. So I originally wanted to do a video on this on Sunday and have it released today, so that way you guys can kind of get an idea of what we're looking at. But obviously, the jury came back on Monday, and they were pretty quick with their verdict. So basically what happened last weekend was this. The jurors were deadlocked on the first charge, the manslaughter charge in this case, and the judge and the district attorney had the charges dropped. Okay, so why in the world they have it dropped? Well, they had it dropped because they wanted the secondary charge, criminal negligence, to be the one that they would ultimately agree to get the guilty verdict. Let me just play this right here for you.
The judge has gone ahead and dismissed the manslaughter charge in the Daniel Penny trial after the jury was hopelessly deadlocked on the issue, going back and forth on it for the better part of the afternoon. Ultimately, the judge dropping it. But, of course, it's not over. There is one remaining, and that is criminally negligent behavior on the part of Penny during that whole incident. That, of course, is in the eye of the beholder, and 12 jurors who clearly couldn't agree on the more serious manslaughter charge. Anyone's guess how they will rule when they come back on this lesser charge. CB Cotton with more in New York. CB.
Hi, Neil. Well, what this essentially means at this point is that Daniel Penny's future still hangs in limbo for the time being until at least Monday, and we still don't know what Monday will bring, how jurors will deliberate and what they'll think about their next task at hand. We know that in terms of that top charge, second-degree manslaughter, they were deadlocked twice on that charge today, and now they're tasked on Monday with deliberating on criminally negligent homicide. It does come with a possible prison sentence of up to 4 years.
Okay, now real quick, I got what I could for the purpose of this video from X because of what was actually going on. Like I said, a much more comprehensive take may come out tomorrow or later on this week, or I may save it for that third channel that I'm creating that I'll tell you guys about in Christmas, because that channel is going to be focused more on crime. But let me kind of break it down a little bit further. the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, and the woman that he has, and I'm not even going to mention her name, they basically were trying to get Daniel Penny on anything they could. I'm going to link this video right here from Fox News. This right here is a video that features Alan Dershowitz and Greg Jarrett. They have a conversation about this. They talk about the actual verdict itself and why it was that even if the jury had said guilty on count number 2, the criminal negligence count, it wouldn't have held up under appeal because the judge actually contradicted the first charge. Very, very weird explanation. Like I said, I'm not a legal scholar, so I'm not here to explain all that. I just give you the basic bare bones. But it seemed to me like what it was going on here was a literal witch hunt involving Mr. Penny. Basically, what they were looking for here was a blood sacrifice. Just get him on anything. Lock him up on anything. That right there is what they were looking for to satisfy the radical base. And New York City jurors, obviously, this time around, I guess you could say a miracle did in fact occur because it's a city where justice is very rarely achieved, but obviously it was rendered correctly here. Now, I want to go ahead and say this before we go any further, that Jordan Neely, the victim, I would say the person who was screaming and hollering and threatening all the passengers that day on the subway, his death is tragic. His death is tragic for a multitude of reasons, and you've even got his parents out here demanding action. We'll get to that here in a second. But before you start demanding action, I think you need to look yourself in the mirror because Mr. Neely would not have been in the situation he was in if his parents actually loved and cared for him. But we'll talk about that in a little bit when we get to the actual BLM section because we got to talk about all these people protesting, all these people raising 15 counts of hell, all these people calling for vigilantes, black vigilantes, all these people saying GD America, and all these people saying that because you're a United States Marine, because you're a veteran, you should actually turn yourself in after you've defended an entire train full of people. We'll get to that here in a second because obviously there's a lot of things here to discuss that quite frankly would make you resentful in nature. But Mr. Neely's death is in fact tragic. He should not be dead. However, Mr. Neely also, and we found this right out shortly after the trial started, and we actually probably found out much more before then, as in after his death, is that the cops, when they responded to this incident, they could not give him mouth to mouth because Mr. Neely had so many drugs in his system. They were scared to death of AIDS. So Mr. Neely, as you guys know, as you may have already figured out, or may have already found if you've been keeping up with this case, he does what? He's on a train. He's a Michael Jackson impersonator. He's got schizophrenia. He jumps up. He starts threatening passengers. You had this one woman who said, I've been riding the subway for 50 years, and I've never been threatened like this right here. You had another woman say, I had to hide my baby. I had to shield my baby throughout the entire process because this guy right here was a different type of threat. He's screaming, he's hollering, he's threatening everybody, saying he's willing to go to prison for the rest of his life, he's willing to die. Mr. Penny just simply pulls off his headphones, gets up, restrains the guy, and of course, to go on top of that, he's got assistance from people who are actually helping him keep Mr. Neely on the ground, so that way he does not threaten or hurt anybody else. By the way, that individual you guys are seeing right here in the B-roll footage, he was never arrested. By the way, Alvin Bragg, the district attorney of New York, he let this guy here walk after stabbing somebody. Now, granted, it was self-defense, but still, though, at the same time, if you kind of put this right here together, you're kind of noticing a pattern. It was about getting whitey. And BLM, of course, they got to remind us that Daniel Penny getting off is some form of white supremacy. Let me roll this. That right there, by the way, is not the only thing that came out here. This one right here, some of this right here had been going on for the week before the verdict, or the week before they were deadlocked on the first charge. Let me play some of this for you.
Racism is still alive and kicking in America. There's no other way to view this. Everyone has looked at the case, and those among you who say that Daniel Penny is innocent have racism and bias in your heart. If you look at the facts of this case, then you understand that Daniel Penny is guilty. But today, white supremacy got another victory. Today, the KKK, the Klansmen, the evil in America got another victory. They got that top charge dismissed. America shall continue.
Keep asking, are we going to riot? Are we going to protest? Is that what's needed? Do glass have to break? Do cars have to burn for a black man to get justice in America? We can't show up with peace. We can't show up with facts. We can't show up with evidence and witness after witness. You give us nothing, and then you ask us to love this country. America hates black people, and we see it from that jury pool.
Some black vigilantes.
That's right.
People want to jump up and choke us. and kill us for being loud? How about we do the same when they attempt to oppress us?
Right.
I'm tired.
What these people don't seem to understand is that public opinion turned against them back in 2021 after the election was over. Public opinion turned against BLM then. Public opinion is not going to be favorable to BLM going forward, okay? You even got this one guy who's screaming for an actual, well, we'll get to that tomorrow because of the United CEO situation, which I did not cover when it happened. I'm going to cover tomorrow because apparently the shooter has been identified, has been found, of course, is currently in custody. We'll talk more about that in tomorrow's video or one of tomorrow's videos. But the fact of the matter is this right here. This type of stuff right here does not help your cause out. Maybe what you should do is, I don't know, maybe get a little bit more informed on what's going on. Not take such a hardcore racial, I hate whitey, everything is white supremacy angle. I mean, the truth be told about this situation is that Mr. Neely is true. He should not be dead. But why should he not be dead? Well, I think that this guy's father, who suddenly shows up out of the middle of nowhere, suddenly demanding action and justice, a man who, quite frankly, probably had nothing to do with Mr. Neely's life, and is probably the reason why it is that Mr. Neely turned out the way he did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure you guys are kind of seeing where I'm going with this. Absolutely disgraceful.
I just want to say, I miss my son. My son didn't have to go through this. I didn't have to go through this either. It hurts. Really, really hurts. What are we going to do, people? What's going to happen to us now? I had enough of this. The system is rigged. Come on, people. Let's do something about this.
Let's do something about it. Too often, we have Eric Garner's mother here.
Where were you at during your son's life? Where were you at during his life, man? Do you think maybe if he were a better father, do you think maybe he wouldn't have, gotten hooked up on drugs? Do you think maybe if he had not left this child off to himself, nothing would have happened? You think maybe that's a possibility? I am just saying. Now, that was a lot of reaction to, but let me talk about this particular woman right here. First of all, let me play this.
Same stance that led to the murder of Jordan Neely. The defense attorney raises words, echoed that of racism. He blamed the medical examiner for the death. He blamed the NYPD for the death. The only person who is to blame for the death of Jordan Neely is Daniel Penny. There's no such thing as a modified chokehold. A chokehold is a chokehold. Yes, he may have done a blood chokehold wrong, but that chokehold led to his death. There was no rare case of anemia. There was none of these things happening. And to go on for 45 minutes to blame protesters, the people who highlight the injustice of the city, is very, very, very wrong. But we know that Daniel Penny has no honor because he is a murderer. If he had any honor, those remnants of the Marine Corps, he would have pled guilty.
This is what I took from that. Because you're a Marine, because you're a prior service Marine, by the way, I am a prior service Marine, did 2 deployments in Iraq, Operation Phantom Fury vet. Because you're a Marine, you're supposed to, after you do this, you're supposed to turn yourself in. Let me go ahead and say this to you guys out there, and I don't care if I lose you or not, but as a prior service U.S. Marine, I don't owe you a goddamn thing. I owe you shit. Mr. Penny don't owe you shit. Mr. Penny did what he did to potentially save lives on that train, save lives on the subway. New Yorkers who vote Democrat every damn election, New Yorkers who create the environment for vets to come home in, the same environment, no jobs, no stable employment, the same type of stuff that contributes to 22 a day.
To the crimes that he have committed. And I think that it's disgusting that the defense attorney is trying to confuse the jury pool. Telling them what they saw on a tape is unreal. Telling them what they heard from eyewitnesses are unreal. It's time for New York City to move on. It's time for the jury to find him guilty of the crimes he did in fact commit on a 6-minute video.
And you wonder why it is men are not wanting to join. They don't want to serve you. They don't want to serve people like you, lady. That's why. Young men who join the military, they join to serve America. But the more and more that they look at Americans, especially Americans like her, disrespectful, hateful, full of bigotry and hate, the less likely it is that they're going to want to put their lives on the line for you. You see, you're not helping anybody out at this moment in time. You really and truly are not. And constantly screaming white supremacy at everything that doesn't go your way only hurts you going forward because, as I have said before, public opinion has already turned on BLM. It's starting to turn on black people as a whole, and you're not doing anything to help that. Look, 9 out of 10 every black people are good, honest to God people. Work their butts off, work hard, sometimes 2 jobs, going to 2 jobs a day, try to take care of their kids. And there's a certain stigma that's attached to them. And it's people like BLM, people like that lady there who are attaching said stereotype to them. I just figured I'd point that out before we go any further. And one more thing, too, when she said he has no honor, he definitely has a hell of a lot more honor than your fat ass. You've probably been living on entitlements your entire life. So do us all a favor and spare us this crap when it comes to honor. And one more thing, too, about the attorney confusing the jury pool. That's kind of their job, okay? It's their job to present evidence. It's their job to argue evidence. It's their job to get their client off. Like I said, these people are like demanding a sacrifice. And it obviously did not go their way, so what the hell are they going to do? They're going to go crazy and do exactly what it is that she said they want to do. But then again, at the same time, what gives me hope in this situation is that at this moment in time, public opinion is against BLM. Public opinion is not only against BLM, but public opinion is also at the exact same time saying, you know what, we don't want you people out here having any association with us New Yorkers. The public pressure campaign that these people ran obviously did not work, and justice was obviously served, and Mr. Penny got off. And thank God that was the case, because obviously in the city of New York, justice is something that is, quite frankly, rare to come by nowadays. It's almost like if you defend yourself in the city of New York, you are getting locked up, you are going away for the rest of your life. But obviously, somebody stepped in. And that person, of course, you guys know what I'm talking about, especially me being a Christian. The person who stepped in this case was obviously God. The attorney did his job. The defense attorney did his job. He litigated the exact same way the district attorney did their job. Litigated. So you can't come over here, cry, scream, and holler every time something goes wrong. But then again, though, this is kind of what BLM's MO is. Now, this video right here, for the most part, guys, was just a reaction to the not guilty verdict, okay? And thank God Mr. Penny got off. But there is going to be another video out tomorrow where I'm going to talk about the situation involving the United Healthcare CEO. Now, I understand that that case has kind of gotten a little bit. I'll put it this way here: it happened last week, and the person who actually did the crime, the shooting, it looks like they actually have him in custody. We'll be talking about that tomorrow, and of course, I'm going to be linking or leaving a little bit of time open just in case some developments come out as about this particular case, especially in New York City as far as riots are concerned. Because we all know that these people are threatening crap, so we got to kind of play the wait-and-see game when it comes to that there. Either way, though, I just want to kind of make this video a bit of a reaction to the news. Make sure you guys still please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys got to say. I'll see you guys later.